Well, we saw mostly clear skies for much of the areas. Kind of looking out at our satellite and radar again, we just saw some clouds up in the panhandle and then well off towards our south. And again, relatively clear skies for much of the area, and that allowed us to warm up, getting into the 60s again, topping out at 67 degrees. The biggest thing we've noticed is it's been a very dry month, only 2/100ths of an inch for the month of December so far. So that puts us nearly 2 inches behind schedule, and that's unfortunately added to the drought conditions for much of the Concho Valley. Starting to see some extreme and even severe drought conditions for much of the area, so certainly watching for any chances of rain. It'll be much welcomed. Again, we're staying in a relatively dry pattern for the next couple of days. 36 degrees right now in downtown San Angelo with those southerly winds, and that's going to help to keep us a little bit warmer as you start off the work week as well. It's going to bring in a little bit more of that warm air advection from the south, again warming us up going into the start of next week. Temperatures across the area right now mostly in the upper 30s and lower 40s, 44 in Brady, 41 in Menard, 31 in El Dorado, one of the cooler spots. So again, we'll still drop at least another 5 to 6 degrees before it's all said and done when we finally get to our overnight lows. Much of Texas still looking at that high pressure settling in, so we're not seeing a large change in any temperatures. So again, if you are planning to get out and about for any Christmas traveling, again, relatively quiet for the Lone Star State expected for the next week. Again, we'll be looking at lows getting into the lower 30s, maybe even some upper 20s, so clear and cool, and still with those southwesterly winds at about 5 to 10 miles per hour. Tomorrow we'll warm up very nicely, getting into the lower 70s, so nearly 15 degrees above average, so very warm, especially for winter solstice. And again, still hanging on to those southerly winds, about 10 to 15 miles per hour, a little bit gustier in the afternoon time. Christmas star, we've been talking about it for past couple of days. We're talking about the fact that Jupiter and Saturn are going to align, and this is something that hasn't really happened in at least the last 800 years, so it's certainly something for any stargazers to go out and enjoy. You're going to be wanting to look off towards the southwest about an hour after sunset. It'll be just above the horizon. Won't see this same event happen again for at least another 60 years. So again, we'll be watching for that again off towards the southwest, kind of taking advantage of those clear skies. Looking at those upper level pattern, we'll be seeing this ridge build in. That's going to allow for those warmer temperatures to begin build in for next week. And then as the week progresses, that hangs in, and we'll be watching for some cooler air. This will be the next shot of cold air, comes through by midweek, even closer to the Christmas time frame. That pushes through. Most of the cold air stays off towards our east. We're going to stay relatively mild and very temper for this time of year. We'll be getting into the lower 60s and upper 50s, so right where we should be. We won't be dealing with any of this very cold air. That stays well off towards our east as we head into next weekend as well. So looking at your full 7-day forecast, again, relatively quiet pattern. We're not going to be looking at any rain, unfortunately. Temperatures will be in the 70s. That's when that cold front comes through on Wednesday. That'll be dropping us back down into the 60s and 50s where we should be for this time of year. But again, some good weather in store for both Christmas Eve and Christmas, and then a pretty quiet weekend as well. And looking at your KLST weather trivia question, again, Monday, tomorrow, will be our winter solstice. Exactly how much daylight will we get? It's actually the shortest amount of daylight that we'll get the entire year. That is 10 hours and 6 minutes. Every day after that, we'll start to add on daylight to the days.